Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/spookshow. Then go over to morbidlybeautiful.com as we are now part of the Morbidly Beautiful Podcasting Network.
It's alive! It's alive! It's alive!
You vote too! You vote too! You vote too!
Everybody here dies by dawn. Dead by dawn!
Welcome to the Spook Show. Hello, and welcome back to the All-American Spook Show podcast. I'm Josh. I'm joined here with Tiana.
Hey.
And the Professor Smoke.
What's up?
And Donnie is currently on assignment. He may or may not join us, but I kind of doubt it. But he did send us his ratings, and I'll let you know, and his thoughts and everything like that, and actually his connections from the crypt as well. So at the least, we'll play those later in the show. But he wasn't able to make it. He's actually on assignment doing some Spook Show on location stuff down in Dallas, Texas right now. So sooner or later, you'll see that over on the YouTube channel, which that's probably a good time to plug the old YouTube channel. Go over to aaspookshow.com. Check out that new series, Spook Show on Location, where Donnie and some combination of us, like I did one too, but that hasn't been put out yet. That may or may not be put out. That was kind of a little bit of an aborted attempt. We'll see if that one ever sees the light of day. But I'm sure eventually the Smokes will be involved in this as well. But the whole premise there is where we just kind of go out to these different locations where movies were shot, and we tour them, so to speak. Like, we say, hey, this is what it was, this is what it looks like now, that kind of thing, so cool little side adventure, a side quest here in the land of the Spook Show that you can check that over on YouTube. And also every month we do Video Vortex, where we give you 5 reasons to watch or avoid whatever video title we pull. We do Grindhouse Gutter, where the professor selects a classic grindhouse or drive-in flick, and we talk about those. He gives his gutter ratings and all that. And then we do Hammer Horror in Order, where, the whole theme of it is right there in the title. We're watching the Hammer horror movies and thrillers in the order in which they were released. So I think we worked our way up to 1967 on that one. So that's been a heck of a run as well, too. Lots of people enjoy that one over on YouTube. So go check any of that stuff out. Of course, we've got our Patreon page at patreon.com/AASpookShow. Become a patron, get, you get the episodes early. You get lots of other bonus stuff that we do every month over there. So check that out. And we've got lots of cool newer designs that we've put up over on our TeePublic page. So if you want to get hats and shirts and all that, mugs and whatever else they slap the logos on, you can order that over at TeePublic. So lots of cool stuff going on here in the Spook Show universe. We also want to put out on Front Street, too, that we are a spoiler-filled podcast. So the movie that we're about to talk about, we are going to spoil the hell out of it. And that's a fair warning, right? So, Tiana, this was your pick, correct?
Yeah.
So what exactly are we here to talk about this week?
This week we're going to talk about Henry.
Portrait of a
Serial Killer. Sorry.
I was like, go ahead, say it. Portrait of a Serial Killer.
From 1986.
Yeah, 1986-ish. It is from 86. Yeah. That's not wrong, right? Smoke, we'll go into that.
The second movie that we've had so far on the 40 years of 1986 that could be argued whether it was technically 1986 or not.
Yeah, another technicality, but we'll go with it. This is, I know for sure, the second, maybe third time I've seen this one. So I have seen this one before. Tiana, what's your history with this one?
I don't think I saw it when I was younger. I didn't see it until probably 2014.
I hope not. This is one of those ones like you should probably wait a little bit. If there's any random 10-year-olds listening to the show right now, don't watch this yet.
No.
You might want to hold off a few more years, kids.
Yeah, this isn't your typical slasher either.
No, this is
not fun at all.
No. I mean, there's very brief moments of levity in it, I guess, in spots, but this is pretty dark and gritty.
What's funny is that's much like the other one that we just said that was technically maybe not 1986, but it is 86. Also not a very fun, uplifting movie.
Yeah.
Combat Shock is what I'm referencing there.
No. You're right. It's very similar. And
in tone, or well, in grim, gritty tone. You know?
Yeah, maybe very, very brief moments of levity. You know, like any movie has, but very little.
Yeah.
There ain't no laughs, that's for sure. Ooh.
No.
Yeah, go check that one out over on Grindhouse Gutter on the YouTube channel. That's out now. You can check that out. That one just came out, but get our thoughts on that wickedness. Yeah. What about you, Smoke? What's your history with Henry?
I guess. I know. I saw it when it first hit video, but I'm guessing that was because we haven't discussed this yet. But the whole thing that we've been alluding to as far as the year, I guess, was 1989 or 90 or whenever it first hit VHS.
I don't know. Like, it might have actually been after 90 by the time it hit home video. Because
I'll put it this way: I know it was before 92. Well, at some point before 92, before I graduated high school, because I saw it before I graduated high school and went in the Navy. That's kind of my sort of a litmus test for me, because I know what movies I saw before that, and that, of course, I had movies I saw after that. So I know I saw it before 92 or in 92.
Yeah, I haven't seen any definitive like when it hit like VHS or home video or whatever, because there's a lot of stuff on like the censorship of it, and there might be different cuts and stuff like that in different countries and all that. But I'm guessing it would have had to have been after,
91,
91, 92, somewhere.
Yeah.
I'm thinking.
I know it was I think it was MTI. Sounds right. The VHS company, MPI rather.
Mm-hmm.
MPI Home Video or something, I believe. Because I actually had the Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer full poster, and I believe more than likely it was from a video store. So it's probably from that MPI VHS release. The video store. This was cool. Not to go off on too much of a tangent, and I might have mentioned it before, but one of the local video stores here, when they were done with their posters, they would put them in a bin for like four for $1. And I had a bunch of cool posters that way. Unfortunately, I've only got a small number of them still now. Like I had Dario Argento's Phenomena under the title Creepers. And like I said, that Henry one. The only one I can still remember having right now is Burial Ground, which is on our living room wall behind the couch.
There you go.
So, but yeah, that's probably worth that Henry one. Not, I'd say a small fortune, but probably $100 or more at least. I would assume these days.
Well,
unfortunately I don't have anymore.
What we've been alluding to here is the release of this. Now, it premiered or it debuted September 24th of 1986. So, boom, there you go. Right there's our 1986 connection. But that was at the Chicago International Film Festival, and then it released a number of times over the years at different film festivals. Literally for like 3 or 4 years, it would play all these random film festivals, but it could never get distribution because it seems like, I guess it got submitted at some point to the MPAA and got an X rating.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
And then eventually it was released in 1990, early 1990. Matter of fact, it was January 5th of 1990. So at the very beginning of 1990, as a limited release in theaters, as an unrated cut. That did not get rated, that whatever came out, and it did, well enough.
I heard that when I looked it up, it said that it did come out in theaters, but it was an R rating still.
Okay.
Because they had to edit it.
Yeah, because I know that it went through the whole rigmarole with the MPAA, right, where they decided they wouldn't give it a rating, like it couldn't get an R rating at the first time they submitted. They're like, well, we don't even know what you could cut for. Not MPAA, first of all, never tells people what to cut, because that would be censorship. It gets submitted to them, and they recommend things. Okay, well, this isn't going to pass. You're going to have to trim some things, but they don't say exactly what to trim because then they would be a censorship group, and that's illegal. So then I guess they just told them, though, well, there's nothing, because when they, well, can you give us some pointers? Like, no, there's nothing you can cut from this to get an R rating. The overall tone is such that we can only give it an X. But I guess later they they resubmitted it at some point and were able to get an R rating.
Yeah, because the notes that I saw is like when it came out in 90 that it was released as unrated, but that limited.
Yeah, released on video unrated.
Okay. So that's what that's what I saw, that confusing the two together. But
yeah. I think, Tiana, you said you were reading something where they resubmitted it. Well, because like I know the initial submittal was no, you can't get an R rating. You can only get you can't tell.
Well, they told them you could cut out all the killings and what they show of the women brutally murdered and all. They said that you could take all that out, and
still not give them.
Will not let you
Yeah.
They did not want this playing in any theaters because of just the tone of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say that would probably be the biggest issue with something like this in 1986 or
Yeah.
87 or whenever they're talking about it would be just
Yeah.
the darkness of it. You know,
Mhm.
because there were certainly movies that had tons of dead bodies in it by this point, right? I mean, like that's right. I mean,
Yeah,
like,
this was different.
yeah, but I mean, like, say from the beginning of the movie, it's mostly like you don't really see anything; you just see the aftermath.
Yeah.
You know, so that's not unlike anything would have seen up
Mhm.
to that point.
This was considered an house film.
Yeah, well, I could see
It was
that.
just the
Well, one
way
thing,
they
well,
decided to do it.
yeah, we went and I remember this back in the day, sort of. I just didn't remember what they said about it, but we saw like a Siskel and Ebert did an actual review of it, and you're like, oh, what is this going to be like? But you know, they both liked it and agreed that it was a travesty on this movie of the MPAA not allowing it to be an R or saying that there's something that could cut for, you know, to get a release of an R rating because the fact that it should be a different, like with the fact that they were going to let it go with an X is the same as basically saying it's a porno film.
Yeah.
And this was before NC-17 was a rating. So
Yeah.
they were arguing that fact then that there needs to be something to differentiate between artistic films with merit like this one versus a typical porno movie that gets an X, you know.
Mhm.
And then, of course, later on, we end up with NC-17, which we did a show on that sometime back, the ratings, spotlight on MPAA ratings or something like that, right? Back in some years back.
Yeah, it's been 3 or 4 years ago. That's been a while.
But they didn't have an NC-17 when this movie first came out.
No. And in that regard, it's in an odd place, like where you would rate something like this, you know, fairly.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
Well, that's why they absolutely did need to and finally did come up. But the problem with the NC-17, and we probably covered this in there, is that a lot of newspapers, television still treated the NC-17 rating like an X, and they wouldn't carry promotional material for it. So
Yeah.
then you're like, it's like a double-edged sword there, catch-22. It didn't matter. Like, as far as if you're trying to promote the movie, a lot of papers wouldn't carry it because it's not R-rated. They just deemed NC-17 as another X and wouldn't promote it. Some, I mean, not all of them, but you know, some major ones.
Not that it's not dark and gritty and bad on its own, you know, just for what the story is. But I wonder if that quote unquote real life aspect had anything to do with that, you know, because this was loosely based on the convicted real life serial killers of Henry Lee Lucas and Otis Toole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that had anything to do with how they felt about it. Like, well, this
Very possibly, yeah. Yeah, they may not have, you know, some of these places might not have cared whether it was an artistically rendered film. They just see it as that, just a brutal serial killer movie, and they still aren't going to carry any kind of you know, carry it in their theaters or ads for it or anything.
because it's certainly not your run of the mill slasher either.
No.
You know, like there's slasher
No.
aspects or elements,
Yeah.
but it's not that.
Yeah. It's not that, but yeah, that's funny you mentioned that too. Is when me and Tiana were watching it, I was kind of brought up Maniac.
Mhm.
Maniac is a good example of slasher, an exploitation slasher film. Yet it's also a psychological serial killer thriller.
Mhm.
And Henry is not that. Henry is definitely more. Well, Henry falls more on the line of no, it's not a slasher. It's definitely more serious material about serial killers, and it's also, you know, based somewhat on a true one. And then, you know, Maniac falls on the other side. I think Maniac has more going for it than your typical like Jason or Michael Myers type movie where it's more in line with serial killer messed up stuff because he's got you know, he's just psychologically messed up, and it's not like a masked killer going around. You know who's doing the killing right off the bat.
Yeah.
It's just that they go down the territory of extremely gory kills and the misogynistic aspect, although that's true of a lot of serial killers too. So, but it falls more on exploitation side of things, and Henry falls more on the more serious filmmaking side of things.
You know how IMDb always has its tags, so like drama, horror, whatever, right? It's got multiple tags for this one because now they've gotten in this habit of like, here's 3 or 4 main tags, but here's like some sub tags, right? So it's got biography, crime, and drama, but then onto the side of it, it's got B horror, dark comedy, psychological horror, psychological thriller, serial killer, and true crime. But yeah, it's all of that and then
Dark
some.
Yeah.
comedy.
Dark-
Ooh.
Yeah,
It does have some dark.
dark.
Unlike kind of like we were talking about earlier, Combat Shot doesn't really. I mean, there's some low budget aspects of Combat Shot that you may, smirk at or giggle at a little bit because that's just having to do with the low budget of it, like the Vietnam scenes or supposed Vietnam scenes that were shot in Staten Island swamps or whatever, stuff like that. But as far as the grim tone, there wasn't anything that was even meant to be like darkly humorous in that one. It's all bleak. This one actually does have a little bit of dark humor, and we'll get to it when we're talking about some of the scenes. But the when they go to buy a television, for instance, VCR or whatever, or TV.
Oh,
Yeah, and that's what I'm thinking. If you're gonna add comedy to this in any way, it's stuff like that. It's that dynamic between Henry and Otis.
Yes, yeah.
And even obviously that's dark as shit, but like there are little moments in there that are.
Yeah, even Otis and his sister, which is very dark in certain, their relationship is extremely dark. But also, there's a lot of comedic aspects of that whenever they're talking more nonchalantly about things.
Yeah. But yeah, it got a limited theatrical release January 5th of 1990. It was produced by Maljack Productions and distributed by Grey Cat Films. IMDb listed as unrated. Total runtime of 1 hour and 23 minutes, so it's nice and tight. Doesn't drag really much at all. It was filmed in and around the Chicago, Illinois area, all on 16 millimeter film for less than a month, from October to November of 1985, for a budget of $110,000, and it went on to gross about $610,000, a little less than $610,000. So not great, but probably made their money back, and then some. So good enough. Even though this
it's a very good looking 16 millimeter film too. If you didn't know that, or pay attention to the aspect ratio when you're watching things of that nature, you might not know that it's 16. Unlike, say, we didn't really cover this, and I didn't even look into it, but I would assume that Combat Shot was 16 millimeter because if it was 30 millimeter, it definitely looked very dirty. 30 millimeter.
It was shitty film whatever they used. If it was,
film ends or whatever.
yeah, exactly. Leftover. I would
even
say
Texas Chainsaw Massacre was shot 16 millimeter, and it definitely you can tell. But I mean, that was 1970 whatever year that it would have been filmed, 73 or something or whatever. So I mean, maybe it looked a little grittier because of that at the time period. But yeah, this one doesn't really. If you didn't know that going into it, you might not, and you didn't really, like I said, pay attention to things like aspect ratios because it doesn't look like, a 35 millimeter aspect ratio. I think I said 30 millimeter earlier. That'd be a weird film style. Yeah. I'm at 35.
35 millimeter.
yeah.
You left 5 millimeters on the table. So of course this is 40 years of 1986, but like we just explained, this didn't get formally released until 90. So I have the box office that weekend that it opened, or played limited, I should say, from January 5th through the 7th of 1990. I do not see the movie on this list, so I don't think it charted. Surprise, surprise. But like it only shows me that top 18 from that weekend, and the bottom number 18 was Roger and Me, and it made $140,000. So that already is way more than this movie brought in, and it's probably would have brought in that weekend. So, and like I said, I don't even know how many theaters it was. It couldn't have been many. But here's the top 10 that weekend. So January 5th through the 7th of 1990. Number 10, Blaze. That's a Disney movie, so I don't recall that one at all.
I don't remember that. Recall that either.
Number 9, Look Who's Talking. The Talking Baby movie. It was in its 13th week. Number 8, a bonafide classic, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. It was in its 6th week, so it was still playing through the holidays there. Number 7, another classic, Back to the Future Part 2. Was in its 7th week.
This is inconsequential, but today I'm wearing my Back to the Future shirt. That's weird.
Yeah, okay. There you go. Number 6, Steel Magnolias. Number 5, The Little Mermaid. This is the animated Disney, the first version, not the live action of a handful of years ago, whatever. This is the original run of that. It was in its 8th week. Number 4, a movie called Always. I'd have to see more. I don't remember that one.
Oh, Always? I think wasn't that Robin Williams and like a psychological, like in a institutional type movie or something? I forget. Something like that.
No,
I want to say.
Maybe that sounds like it was something else.
Or maybe it's not Robin Williams. I
way.
know it's something to do with a psychological, like an institution of some sort. somebody having mental issues or something.
Number 3 in its third week, and this is kind of a weird title to be playing this time of year, like through the holidays, but it was an awesome one. Tango and Cash.
Oh yeah,
which that's a movie we got to get on Cult Corner. Or something,
yeah. I was
right?
about to say that same thing.
Yeah.
Yep,
We got to fit that one in somehow.
Yeah.
Number 2, The War of the Roses was in its 5th week, and then number 1 in the box office, Born on the 4th of July was in its 3rd week. So it's a pretty good little slate of films. There's the holidays there of 89 into 90 there. But yeah, Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer didn't have a chance. Snowball's chance in hell with those movies. And that's not even counting a few other titles that were playing at the time that weren't in the top 10, such as Harlem Nights, The Wizard, Driving Miss Daisy, Glory. Like those movies were still playing. So yeah, it didn't stand a chance.
Yeah.
Not
in the limited runs that it had, whatever theater would carry it.
God knows it was probably only in like 10 theaters across the country. You know, most of those were probably in New York, Chicago, and LA. So
you could tell that it was a different time period because, like you said, well, by the time this got released, even if it was 86, which it didn't do too much. You know, there. If the grindhouses had been around and the way they were, say 5 years earlier.
Oh yeah,
then it would have been even more notorious on the grindhouse circuit. You would have heard people would have heard more about it then, you know, at the time but like I said, home video is where it really did its business.
Man, if this thing had come out like in just a couple of years earlier, you know, say 84, right? Like where the grindhouses were still, and drive-ins to a degree were still a huge thing.
Yeah, it would have done a lot more box office because they didn't give a shit about whether something was rated X or, in fact, it was better for them if it was rated X.
And this is very Grindhouse gutter, by the way. Like this movie fits in well over there.
Yeah, it would fit. It would fit in there. But like you said, it's at the end. Certainly by 1989, there was much of nothing left of the grind of. I mean, you know, I'm sure there was one here and there at various places or whatever, but it wasn't anything like it was, say, from 85 and before.
Yeah. It was partially written because there was a writing partner. So it was directed, written, and produced by John McNaughton, who did another movie called The Borrower, and he also went on to do Wild Things in the 90s, which I think a whole generation of young men appreciated that movie. We'll just leave that there.
I forgot that he directed that. The Borrower I knew, and then we have that on VHS. Found that not too long ago on VHS, but.
Well, he's not the only.
Actually, I've never seen it. I still haven't seen The Borrower at all, ever. Even back in the day, I remember it, but I just never watched it.
There's multiple connections to The Borrower here, and I'll get into those here in just a second. But it was also written by Richard Fire, who also wrote The Borrower, and he actually had a handful of acting roles. He had an uncredited acting role in one of our favorites, Maximum Overdrive. And then he had another, I guess, slightly bigger role. It was actually credited role in Poltergeist 3. So there's Richard Fire. It stars Michael Rooker as Henry, who, you know, this day and age, I'd say most people would probably recognize him from the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, right? I guess, quote unquote, recognize him, right? Because he's a big blue dude with a fin on his head. In the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, he plays Yondu. But, you know,
and before that had come out, you would probably recognize him, Walking Dead, Merle.
Yep. Also, he was in the movie Slither, which I think that was early 2000s or something like that.
Oh yeah. That's another one we haven't done yet on the show that we need to get in. That's a fun one.
And he was also in The Dark Half. I mean, the list goes on and on for Michael Rooker, right? Like we could sit here for the next 15 minutes just talking about that dude's filmography. He's done tons of movies, random episodes of TV shows and stuff. I think probably one of the better actors of the last 40 years, right? And it basically started right here with Henry Portrait. I mean, because this was his first film role. I think like the only other things that ping on him before this, or maybe they were around the same time, was he was in 2 different episodes of TV shows the same year in 86. So now granted, fast forward, right? Like this doesn't come out till 90. So there's that weird bit to all this, but his first part was 86. Movie part was 86. And he was in 2 episodes of, he was in a show called Lady Blue, 1 episode, and then another show called Crime Story. one episode of that one. Then Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer, and then he actually had a number of things after that, like movies and television shows, which many before this movie saw the true light of day in '90. Because
and I forget what year it was, but one that's kind of somewhat pertinent to us here now is because we're in the Carolinas. He was in a movie called Bastard Out of Carolina.
Yeah, well, there you go. And mostly smaller roles, though, in that time period, though, because like between, say, like when this was made in '86 and then '90 when it actually comes out. I mean, he had small roles in that Steven Seagal movie Above the Law, Mississippi Burning.
Cliffhanger, that was awesome.
Right? Yeah, that was a little bit. That was after. That was in '93. Actually, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Because like by the time this movie actually comes out, and maybe that plays somewhat of a role in why it actually finally came out, he was fairly established. Maybe not as a leading man or anything like that.
Yeah.
He was well more established by then, because by then he's got a part in Days of Thunder, JFK, The Dark Half, like I mentioned, Cliffhanger, Tombstone. I mean, he's in much bigger thing, even in Mallrats. Remember the
yeah.
He's in that. Yeah. So
you already mentioned Mississippi Burning too, right?
Yep. Just mentioned that.
That was earlier on, but that was a big one.
Yeah.
Even before that was before '89, right? Before,
that was '88.
Yeah.
So maybe I mean, I don't know that. It's just speculation on my part. But that could have played somewhat of a role in like, hey, you know what? Maybe let's just go ahead and release this thing. This dude's kind of a thing now.
Yeah, I think it definitely had to have helped. If they had a completely unknown who went on to just be an unknown, it might not have got that boost.
Yeah. It also stars Tom Towles as Otis. Now, when I was looking at this, I'd forgotten or didn't realize that he actually passed away about 11 years ago. He passed away in 2015. But he was also in the remake of Night of the Living Dead. The one from '90? That was Tom Savini, right?
He directed.
Yeah.
He was in that Night of the Living Dead. He was also probably, I would imagine, I mean, it's a small part, but big enough to where people would probably remember him from House of a Thousand Corpses and The Devil's Rejects. So this day and age, you probably got arguably just as many people that remember him from Henry as they do those small bits in House of a Thousand Corpses and The Devil's Rejects, right?
Yep.
And the only other one worth mentioning here is Tracy Arnold as Becky. That's Otis's sister in the movie and Henry's quote unquote love interest. She was in that movie, The Borrower, again. And she was in one episode of Baywatch. That's pretty much it. She was only in like 4 or 5 other things. Nothing really worth mentioning. So, in and out. That's it. Although I think people mistake. What were y'all saying offline before we recorded? People called her the chick from Roseanne or something.
Yeah, was her name Becky and Roseanne?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The character.
I could totally see it. Like if you didn't really, know names and faces and you didn't really care to look, I could totally see you like thinking that's the same girl.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, she's got the same sort of facial features and definitely the same haircut.
Yeah. Yeah,
Becky
for sure.
in the series. Or at least in part in most of the episodes.
Did any of y'all have anything else you wanted to add to this before we got into it?
I just wanted to add that, I mean, I'm sure it might have came down the line when we were talking about the movie, but this was shot guerrilla style.
That doesn't surprise me either.
And I guess Michael Bain has a podcast, and he had Rooker on only a few months ago, and they were talking about that movie, and he said how the part where he went up to the bridge to dump body parts over to the river, somebody ratted them out and said they're doing something suspicious, so all these cops rolled up on them. And they told him to drop it. And then they looked in the bag, and he was like, we're only making a movie. And then they looked in the bag, and they said, okay, and then left.
Yeah. That doesn't surprise me at all. Something that's small budget, shot on 16 millimeter, doesn't surprise me. They're just stealing shots and just doing shit without permission. Also, too, I think
I'm sure they didn't had 0 permits, I'm sure.
Maybe it was some interview with him, or I think it was some interview that I saw with him about this, that he really had no like formal training or anything like that. Michael Rooker. Like he just kind of just randomly, I guess, kind of auditioned, or maybe somebody saw him and they knew he would be right for this or something, and then away we go.
Yeah.
Like he didn't really like, go to school or anything like that. Wasn't like trained, classically trained, so to speak, or anything like that. He just, here we go, and then dude's turned it into a 40-year
At least people noticed it, and and he went further from it, because it's a kind of role where some people might see him like, yeah, we don't want to touch this guy for a 10-foot pole, or this is that guy,
Yeah.
who did a great job as a serial killer, and that's all people are going to see, So luckily he didn't get typecast in that way.
Yeah. No.
I mean, he did play some bad guys because he's good at it, but not like, well, you're just going to be relegated to these slime balls,
Yeah, and he was very method about it too. Like he didn't socialize with anyone else, like while they were making this, and I guess he just wanted to keep that aura of creepiness. So he didn't like make friends and now action, and then have to act like a maniac. He just stayed in character as a maniac. Well, yeah, I guess with this movie you start right there at the beginning of it. We alluded to it a little bit ago. The flashbacks of bodies of victims. That's a hell of a way to start this thing, isn't it? Like, and you see dead women, just dead people, right? And like in various positions, and it's like the aftermath of it. So you don't actually see it happen, but when you're looking at, say, like a woman kind of half naked and dead, you can hear like what happened playing in the background, like the audio of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And I think it's a perfect way to do it, and again, the juxtaposition between Maniac and this movie. If you show all those murders, it is going to kind of come across as a slasher film, and it will be something like Maniac.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if you do it this way, you establish that he's a serial killer and that he's done this quite a few times, and you assume more times than they're showing you.
Oh, yeah.
So it just establishes that without going to each and every single kill. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which it would come across as a bit of an exploitational slasher movie that way. If that's not what you're going for, then this is a much better way to show that he's a serial killer and show the gruesomeness of the deaths without having to show him do the killing each and every time, showing the aftermath and a montage, really. Serial killer montage.
Which in some ways it kind of makes it creepier, not seeing it.
Oh yeah, yeah, yep.
As goofy as that might sound, like you'd be like, well, "What do you mean?" Like, we want a body count, we want to see the blood and gore and all that stuff, but like you said, I think for what they were trying to go for here, it's not necessary.
No,
and you're still equally as creeped out, and
oh yeah, and there's still some brutal aftermath scenes, like the Coke bottle.
Oh scene, God, yeah. I think that's the one that I was thinking of, like the half naked woman, right? Like her top's pulled down, and she's kind of
she's laid up against the wall or whatever.
But but
she's on a toilet.
On the toilet in the bathroom,
like in the bathroom. Yeah. But there's like a glass bottle like stuck in the side of her like cheek, like below her eye or something, right? Like
going through her jaw, or going down through her jaw.
It's pretty rough, and it also adds to the roughness of that too. That they kind of make you stare at it.
Yeah.
Not just that one, but all these little
music going with the somber kind of music.
Yeah, that adds to this too. The whole movie, that piano, that couple, they play that same track a couple times. I think towards the end too. It's like it's very Jason Freddy-esque. In a way.
In a way, but without going down the straight synthesizer path.
Yeah.
Which again would make it put it more in that slasher territory or of Maniac. If you have I love synthesizer scores, but not for this type of movie. If you want to have synthesizer stabs and all that stuff, and I mean stabs meaning just like high pitched, synthesizer sound going off when he's on screen or something, and then it definitely would have been more down the slasher path of type movies.
They're definitely dancing around it, but it's similar.
Yeah.
It's similar enough to draw those comparisons, but it's not quite the same, if that makes sense.
Yeah. It's more, like you said, more piano oriented than it is synthesizer oriented.
A little bit further into the movie where Becky is just casually telling Henry her fucked up childhood. Like, it just kind of comes out of nowhere. Like, my daddy fucked me up. And it's like, God damn, then you just like the next 5 minutes just telling this horrible story of her childhood. And then he returns the favor. Oh yeah. You think your childhood's fucked up? Hold my beer.
Because Otis had told her earlier, right, that he had killed his mom before. before that
Yeah,
scene, right?
because they were in jail together. That's how they met.
Yeah. So
Now,
he had already.
now that scene to me, the way it plays out, and what he told her, what Otis told her, like, I'm going to tell you this. He killed his mom, but you don't say a word. And then she immediately, of course, says, ask him about it. So that whole thing, that it has that ring of like the Joker to me, in that the Joker doesn't really have an origin. When he tells you his origin, he's full of shit, or
making up his own origin story.
Either that, or he just doesn't fucking remember it, and he's just telling you whatever he thinks you want to hear. You know, so I kind of felt that way about Henry here, in that like I thought you stabbed him. Yeah, I stabbed her or shot her, whatever. Remember, there was like some inconsistency.
He said stabbed at one point, and then he says, and that's when I shot her or something like that. Yeah. He goes, oh, I thought you said, or the other way around. I forget now. Whichever way
that was
it was.
The right way.
Yeah.
That was the right way? Okay.
Yeah.
So that's right. In my opinion, it's either he doesn't remember or he's lying.
Or he's like, or he's just going with the
right. Doesn't remember with all the women he's killed after that.
Exactly. He's so gone that he doesn't really. Yeah, I did it. You know, and that he's just going to agree because he wants a body count, but he may or may not have done it. Is all I'm saying. But
and regardless of if he did or didn't do it, it fucked him up because of what his mom made him do. All the things that she did to him caused him to be fucked up psychologically. Anyway, even if he didn't, kill her.
Made him like wear a dress as he watched her have sex with men and stuff like that. And yikes!
So she was a prostitute, right? So she just brought him, had him wherever.
And and like I said, he tells this story right after she just told the story of her dad like sexually abusing her, and it's like, what? They're just having a fucked up off here or something. Yeah. But
I don't know enough of Henry Lee Lucas to know if he even killed his mom.
I'm not sure. I didn't look up like the true, comparisons, the true story of Henry Lee Lucas or Otis Toole.
I'm pretty sure I've seen a documentary years back on, maybe even one that was it might even be a special feature on the DVD, kind of doing a comparison thing, but I don't remember. It's been so long ago since I did see that I don't remember it now.
And then not long after that, you get the especially fucked up part of Otis trying to kiss his sister, or basically did kiss his sister, right? Like he grabs her, and then Henry stops it. But you knew that was going to be a thing. Unfortunately,
they keep building on the fact that this family's, she talked about her dad, but it's also Otis. I mean, it was again more family trauma. Like you grow up seeing probably your dad do these inappropriate things, and then you, as the brother, going to mimic those inappropriate things. Probably so. They build up to Otis being just a nasty perv for his sister too. So until you get to that scene, and then Henry like Otis knows, he grabs him by the back of the neck. That's your sister, and then he gets all like, what we did. It shuts it down for the moment. But there's probably going to be, it's alluding to something later that much worse happens later.
And there's also this element too throughout the movie of Henry and Otis, for lack of a better way of putting it, they're kind of slow. They're not the brightest bulbs in the room. I mean, surprise, surprise, serial killers aren't the brightest bulbs in the room, but.
Well, and then if you had to pick between the two, like Henry's IQ seems much higher than Otis's, right? Even though his isn't, because there's a part where they allude to it. Well, they don't just allude to it, but they don't really go any further with it. But when she's wearing Becky, was that her name?
Yeah, Becky.
Yeah. I should know that because of the Roseanne reference.
Yeah. Yeah, there's that too. What the hell? I didn't just put that together.
She's got that shirt that says "I love Chicago." Again, that's also alluding to the Otis being a perv, because she's like, "I want to, try it on," and she's like, "Turn around," and then Otis like tries to sneak a peek at her when she's taking the shirt off, whatever. But then she puts the shirt on, and Henry's like, "Oh, that's nice. What does it say?" So it alludes to the fact that he can't really read it.
Yeah, that's nice. And meanwhile, it says "I love Chicago," like.
Yeah, it just says "I heart
glaringly,
Chicago," right?
like right there in front of him. What's that say?
So I don't know. Does that mean that he can't read?
I think that's
enough to read well enough. Yet there's other scenes when he's talking. Just because maybe you can't read doesn't mean you don't have a higher IQ about other things, about the world or things. Because there's parts where he's trying to tell Otis something when they were out, specifically when those homeless people were like rolling each other. He's rolling the other homeless guy or whatever, and they're in the park looking through the binoculars or through the scope of the gun or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And some homeless people were robbing other homeless people or something or whatever they were doing. And he's trying to go into a soliloquy of things about the world and whatnot. So he's got educated in somewhat. I mean, though he's smart. I guess street smart, but that's about it, right?
I think he's just a little bit smarter than Otis, so it makes him seem smarter than he is.
Yeah,
at best.
Yum, yum. It's time for a tasty and refreshing snack. We promise to satisfy your hunger, your thirst, your sweet tooth. So visit our refreshment center now. Let's go.
And in some weird way, he has some kind of, somewhere in there's a moral compass, I guess. At least when it comes to her.
Yeah.
At least in this Henry, now that I know is not true of the Henry Lee Lucas guy so much.
Well, once again, surprise, serial killer has no moral compass.
This character in this movie has more of a moral compass to a certain degree. I mean, he's a misogynistic serial killer where he's mostly killing women and stuff, but he does have a thing of, like, I guess it's showing that people he really cares about, he's got a moral compass for them, not necessarily anybody else in the world, but
Mm-hmm. Well, a lot of women.
He also has the thing, that intelligence thing I was talking about, where he's good at not getting caught until he slips up and starts, whatever, falling for her and doing these things or whatever. And he's still at the end of this, like I said, we'll get to it, but doesn't get caught in this movie per se. But the fact that he's telling Otis, and that scene I was talking about before, where this is what you do, don't use the same gun more than once. Don't use it. Basically, don't have the same MO with every kill, otherwise they're going to find you fast for you.
Mm. So he's
got sense enough not to get caught for years and years now, I guess.
So
the problem is, though, is pretty much every woman he sees, he probably sees his mama.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
yeah.
That's the problem.
And especially when they're out getting actual prostitutes and killing them or whatever.
Yeah.
Like the first time that Otis sees him kill.
Yeah, because not long after that's where he goes out with Otis and they pick up a couple hookers, and then Henry kind of goes a little nutty and like snaps her neck. And then he
and then just pulls the bodies out the car and tosses them off to the side.
Well, but then right before that, they're like, he kind of goes crazy and snaps the hooker's neck. And then Otis is in the front seat with a hooker. He just reaches over there and snaps her neck. And Otis is just like, whoa, he's just shocked by what has just happened. And then he just tosses him over into the
whatever there.
Yeah, over to the side, and then just keeps going. Like nothing just happened.
Like they're in an alley or already in an alley or whatever.
But now I guess this has like led Otis, like, it's do or die. Like he's kind of, it's almost like he's teacher pupil kind of relationship at that point. Like, he wants him to kind of go along with it, but Otis has an appetite for it too, pretty quickly. Yeah. So
he picks on up pretty quick. Yeah. Like you said. And then they get the
TV guy.
We got the scene, the TV guy. That's the next scene, right? Because there's a scene where Otis, like, he's trying to get the TV's not working right. He's trying to get the picture to come in, and it's not coming in good. So he just gets frustrated and kicks a hole in the TV.
I like that. And then it was how matter of fact it was. I like how matter of fact it was too. Like, why'd you do that? I got carried away. Oh shit! Let's go shopping. It's like he's not really mad about it. Just hell. But they go to this, I guess, back room type of dude that has like video cameras, and VCRs,
like a bunch of stolen merchandise, probably.
Yeah. The stuff that falls off the truck, wink, wink. That kind of guy. And one thing leads to another. They argue with the dude, and then he stabs him. Right? I think. Then
he stabs him with a soldering iron. Well, he stabs him in the hand with the soldering iron. Then he stabs him in the chest with it. Then he picks up the TV that the guy was the little black and white that he was trying to sell him $50, right, I guess, or whatever. And he busts that over his head. And then what he tells Otis, plug it in.
Yeah.
Otis.
Then they fry him.
They fry there, with the broken TV over his head, Now that was funny. That was a moment where you could almost probably see. I haven't seen John McNaughton do any kind of break. Like there probably is, I'm sure, a commentary and where they talk about that scene. But I would assume it's maybe one that they thought about maybe not including just because of the comedic aspect of it. But it also adds, like I said, levity to something where you're like, it's not like Combat Shot where we're going to hit you over the head with bleakness from beginning to end.
Now at that point, Otis has like the full bloodlust, so Henry gives him a gun, and
they also take the camcorder from that guy.
Yeah. So then
that plays a major role in the rest of the movie.
Yeah, because then you get a little bit more grittiness with that. Oh God, man, good Lord, we'll get to that scene in just a second.
Impactful scenes in the movie, for better or worse. It's definitely one of the more brutal scenes, although without really much gore. Again, another testament to this movie. Any movie that can shock you and disturb you without even using that much gore. I mean, yeah, certainly there's violence in the scene, but just the fact of what they're doing and their camcorder, they're filming it, and then the way it was shot, which you don't really realize that there's a TV in the camera frame. There's a TV that's being watched, and on the TV is what they did when they murdered his family. Right?
It's one of those old school type of setups with the video camera that a lot of people probably don't remember. Where like people used to like doing that. Like you would hook the camcorder
right directly into
up to the TV so you could see yourself. These days, who gives a shit, right? You can do that with your phone. But back then, that was like, oh my God, I'm on TV, And then they kind of play into that big time with that. But before you get to that, though, where Otis, he's kind of getting Otis the bloodlust or whatever. Like he gives him a gun, and then they go out and just hail a guy. Like the cars broke down on the side of the road. They hail a guy down. The Good Samaritan gets out, like, hey, can I help you guys? And then he just bam, 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 just shoot cold blood.
I don't know. Do you need some help? And then he just pulls the gun and shoots him.
God.
Yeah, right.
Then they just kind of jump in the car and laugh about it, But
again, another scene that's very darkly humorous in a way. It's fucked up, but more humor added into that because I mean, it's just the way that when the guy pulls up and then he's like asking about if they need help, and then Henry's like, "I don't know, Otis. Do you need any help?" It's kind of like a double entendre meaning. Do you need any help killing this guy?
Yeah.
Can you do it on your own?
And I think these couple scenes that we've just described are kind of setting you up for the kill. Like it's almost as violent and as horrible as they are. There's still, like you said, a little bit of comedy. There's a little bit of levity in these.
Yeah.
You can kind of laugh at it. Then you get to the next scene with the video camera and the family. Everything you've just seen, just throw that out the window. This ain't funny no more.
It's a comedy in that scene. It's fucked up.
No, this ain't fun no more. Now you want these dudes to die.
No, there's everything from just like I said, everything but gore in that scene. There's as much brutality as you can handle as far as being disturbing with a family. It's a husband, a wife, and their son, and they all die.
Mm-hmm.
And there's even the hint of necrophilia in there because Otis is about to, after the fact, and then Henry's like, no, there's another moral compass for
exactly.
Henry.
There's Henry's moral compass. This weird moral compass he has. Like there's like a
line. We're going to kill his family, but you're not going to do necrophilia on.
He's willing to be a depraved killer, but there's these weird lines that he won't cross that clearly Otis would.
And I'm sure that probably wasn't the case with the real Henry Lee Lucas and Otis Toole, but in the case of this movie, he's not trying to get you to side with Henry.
No,
but he's trying to get you he's trying to humanize them enough so that because he is really, besides Becky, there's no hero in this movie.
No.
And he's the only one that you could even say, besides again, like Becky, the only one who has that moral compass. Becky's the only one that's not a killer, between the two. But other than her, then Henry, and then there's Otis, who's just he's just basically a robot for Henry to manipulate or whatever. But then also doesn't have that moral compass. He's like the most based, not based as in bottom line based. That if Henry wasn't there, he would be doing the most depraved things, right?
Absolutely.
You could imagine.
Yeah. But it's also of Henry's own making.
Yeah.
It's almost like Otis wouldn't have, I don't know if Otis would have had the capability or the nuts, so to speak, to do this.
To do it on his own. Yeah.
But now that he's kind of been given permission, he's off the chain. Now he's just going further than Henry wants to go. So that all ends about as well as you figured it would. So there's a scene where Henry and Becky are basically about to have sex, right? Otis walks in on it. Henry's like, I got to go get some cigarettes. I got to go return some videotapes. He leaves. He leaves. And in that time, he almost kills a lady that's walking her dog. You could tell he wanted to, but he's saying whatever. And then he just kind of goes back. And then when he walks back in, Otis is raping his sister. So he comes in and puts a stop
That's funny.
To this.
You brought up that American Psycho reference there too, because that kind of reminds me of, there was a scene in American Psycho where he goes, there's a woman walking a dog, right? And he almost kills her, or doesn't kill her. I can't remember now. But yeah, there's a similar sort of setup there.
But he comes in and puts a stop to that. He stabs the dude to death, then proceeds to saw him into pieces.
Well, don't forget the part before that. Becky stabs him in the damn eye with the
one of those plastic combs that has a pick on the end.
Yeah, because I think Henry comes in and Henry comes in and kicks him or hits him or something, right? And kind of gets him off
and they're
of her.
fighting.
And then she comes over and
he does something to Henry. Because he's kind of out of commission. I forget where. He broke a wine bottle or a liquor bottle over his head.
Maybe that's what it was.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And then Becky takes
and then
that
Henry kind of like phased out, phased from that or whatever. Then Otis like, all right, that's it. He's basically about to kill Henry at that point.
Yeah.
And then that's when he grabs that comb with the pick on the end of it,
stabs him in the eye.
Pipe pick on the other end and stabs him in the eyeball with it.
So he's kind of flopping around like you would if you just got stabbed in the eye with a comb. And then that's when Henry jumps over there and starts stabbing the shit out of him and kills him.
Stabbing him again with the comb, I think, at first, and then what does he do to him? Does he just kill him with the comb? Stabbing him with the comb?
Yeah,
I think he just stabs him out. Yeah. I think that's pretty much it. But then, well, crap, what do we do? Yeah, we got to cut him up and haul him off so that he literally saw his arm. No, he saws his head off first.
Saw his head off.
Then
you assume his arm starts on.
And then the next thing you know, they're carrying out 2 or 3 suitcases full of Otis, throwing it into the back of the car. And then they drive down the way and then throw it off a bridge. And
that's the one. That's the scene that Tiana was talking about earlier. Is when Otis's body, when he's disposing of Otis's body over the bridge.
Oh yeah, it's garbage bags that he used because the suitcases have their actual clothes in it.
Mm.
Oh yeah, because he uses the suitcase.
Yeah, you're
in
right.
The last
in
the scene.
Yeah. We'll get to that. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that it's garbage bags or whatever. Yeah, that would flag the cops though if you're just tossing garbage bags off the side of a bridge.
Garbage bags into the river or whatever.
So then like that we get up to the last scene of the movie, essentially like Henry and Becky, we're just going to drive out west. We're just going to be together. And then she
kept trying to push them to go to her mom's
to get her daughter, right? Yeah,
because you don't know she has a daughter until almost towards the end of the movie, and you're like, what?
Yeah. Well, you pick up throughout the movie where like apparently I guess she was interested in a horrible relationship where this guy went to jail and they had a kid. She left the kid with her mom, and she went. That's the whole point of this is she went to live with her brother Otis to get away from that situation for a while. Yeah. Now I guess she's homesick, wants her daughter. She's ready to go home. And so she's trying at the end, she's trying to get Henry to come with her so they can go get the kid and then go out west and just get away from here. And then they stop at a hotel and take showers. She's playing that guitar. They're about he walks in and says like, it's time to go to bed. We need to get some rest or whatever. And then cut to the next morning, he walks out by himself. Did he have the suitcase? I forget. Yeah, he's got a suitcase.
Puts it in the car. Drives down the way. Gets out. Goes to the trunk. Opens it up. Kind of stares at it for a second. Picks the suitcase up. Tosses it over into the side of the grass, like off the shoulder of the road. Gets back.
Bloody as hell.
There's blood on the suitcase. Gets back. Closes the trunk. Gets back in the car and drives away. Credits. So, or it zooms in on the suitcase. Credits.
Yeah.
So I guess you are to assume that he that night killed her, and then
I'm wondering if she was trying to, what with him again.
Maybe, and then that whole poor relationship with women thing pops up, and then
I don't think all those women he killed. They might have started getting sexual with him or whatever, but I can guarantee you he probably never had sex with none of them.
Yeah. So
that's probably like again that psychological thing from his mom messed him up.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously,
whereas the killing is all that he was interested in from that point on.
So I guess you're only left to assume at the very end of this is that's what happens. Something like that happens. Regardless, I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
he kills her in the middle of the night. Whatever happened, stuffed her in that suitcase. Either way, I mean, what are the options here? He either left her in that hotel room out of a random act of kindness, or he murdered her. Those are your two options.
You kind of know something suspicious before they even get to the hotel, because he says something about, "Oh, we'll go out west to my sister's. She has a ranch with horses," and you know he's freaking lying.
Yeah. Same thing. The Joker. It's the Joker.
I prefer
Yeah.
that he dropped the her off, and she lived happily after with her mom and daughter, and then he just got rid of the clothes that she didn't want anymore by throwing them in a field somewhere, and that was it, right?
Yeah.
No, that's not.
That's the pleasant cut. That.
Oh.
We watched the dark cut. Well, there you go. Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer. Another good one, Tiana, you picked. I mean, at least to depress the shit out of us, it's a good one.
Yeah, at least you uplifted the atmosphere from Combat Shock, right?
Yeah. We just watched Combat Shock over on Grindhouse Gutter, and then this. So yeah, I think we kind of hit the bottom of the rungs on the ladder of 1986 here last. Not like in quality of movie, just in the way you feel after you watch it, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, just wait till we get to Nightmares and a Damaged Brain. Anyways.
Yeah. That's next month on Grindhouse Gutter, right? No.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. That's next month.
That's not 1986. That's out. We're outside of 1986 by that. I don't remember what year that one was actually. Right off top of my head.
It's not 1986, and it's not cranberry sauce.
No.
Something else. Well, there you go. That's a good pull. So, Tiana, you brought it to the table. We'll let you give us your final thoughts and your star rating on that one.
My thoughts on it is, I just think, like, wow, like, this is such a good film, especially with it just being so small and indie.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they definitely did an awesome job picking Michael Rooker. I don't know if he studied.
And that too, just the fact this is essentially the first thing he'd ever done.
Yes,
pretty much.
Yes.
So damn good. He's just a natural at it, obviously.
Yeah.
Yep.
But it's very loosely based on Henry Lee Lucas, right? Yeah.
Yeah, Henry Lee Lucas and Otis Toole.
And Otis Toole, yeah. Because I mean they had the, like, where he was lying and stuff, and I know he did that in real life. But I know he was only charged with 11 women, murdering 11 women, but down the line, he tried to say he did all this other stuff, but they figured out it was probably lies. But anyway, just to be in the spotlight again.
Isn't it funny how, like, there's some of these serial killers where you hear that, where they, like, years later, they'll start copping to more, and it's bullshit, because I guess now they're like, well, I'm screwed either way, so I might as well try to make myself seem cool, I guess,
Yeah. Yep. And, yeah, there definitely wasn't in real life like a sister or anything like that. And I guess they just ran into each other, Otis and Henry, and did their spew or whatever. And then Otis, I just found this out after we just watched this. I did not know that he said that he killed Adam, that little boy Adam that was the Walsh.
Oh, really? He was one
kid.
of the ones?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
He's the one that said he killed him, but I didn't know that, and I don't know if there was any actual truth, if they even
I always thought
really
that
found
one
out
was,
if he did.
I always thought that one was kind of unsolved, right? Like, I guess
Yeah,
maybe
I thought so.
him or others may have claimed it, but I don't know if there was ever
and that's
any...
why he made that show.
Yeah.
Because isn't that where I know that's the what's the story there? America's Most Wanted, right? The guy.
Yes.
Yeah. Can't think of his name. The guy that hosted that for 40 years.
Was it John Walsh?
John Walsh.
Yeah.
His son Adam was kidnapped and killed. Right? Wasn't he beheaded? Something horrible like that.
It is beheaded.
Yeah. But
I remember.
But even to this day, though, right? Isn't there like a code Adam at like a, when you go to Walmart, wherever you go to a store, there's a code Adam. I think that's what that is.
Yeah.
Right? From him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Messed up. I didn't know that. I didn't know there was a connection there, or maybe not. Who knows,
Yeah,
right?
I didn't know either.
You don't know what to believe
I
when
was
you're
reading up. Yeah.
So, once again, surprise, surprise. Like, serial killers aren't the most forthright with information. It turns out they're untrusting people.
A few of them are, but not most of them.
I'm sure there's some of them like, I did it and fuck them, and here's all 40 of them. I don't care, but I'm sure there's some throughout history, but yeah.
But this one's just so well done, and I've probably seen it a few times now, but I'm going to give this one a 5 stars.
All right, Smoke, what do you say?
It's like I've seen it more than a handful of times now over the years. And pretty much the same thing Tiana was saying, that it's low budget. I don't remember what the exact budget was, but a low budget independent film that kind of comes out of nowhere at the time and causes a bunch of controversy. As I remember reading about it before I ever got to see it, because of all that controversy about it I'm sure it was in pages of Fangoria and probably even other bigger movie magazines at the time, about the whole MPAA debacle about it, So then when it finally comes out, you're in it. So you're kind of expecting, you hear that controversy, and so you're expecting to be a controversial film, and it definitely is that, I think. Very disturbing, but very well done. There's a difference, like we just mentioned about Maniac's one of my favorite slasher movies, but this is that type of movie where it goes into the serious side of that rather than to the exploitative slasher side of it. And I like both types of movies. If you can get a disturbing film without even having that much gore in it and carry it off to the level this movie does, then more power to you. But also on the same token, if you can do a movie like Maniac that's very disturbing and very splattery, gory, has Tom Savini effects and a cool soundtrack and all this stuff, then I'm down behind that too. So I'm glad that he was able to pull this movie off the way he did. And like I said, it was shot on 16 millimeter, but you don't even really realize that. It's not a gritty. It's gritty in the sense of the atmosphere of the movie and tone and all that stuff, but it's not necessarily in the look of the film, same way I was talking about with Maniac or Combat Shot or even Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where it's the aesthetic of the film itself is gritty. That's not the case here. It's very, very good looking 16 millimeter. I'll put it that way. And Michael Rooker is excellent in it. Tom Towles is also excellent. And I can't remember the actress's name. Like I said, I don't remember her character name's Becky.
Yeah.
All those 3 roles are all done well. Without them being great in those roles, then it wouldn't be as convincing, of course. Because we got plenty of evidence of low budget movies that have terrible actors that bring a movie down. When there's only 3 actors that's in a movie, really. I mean, there's others, but I mean the main action is between those 3 people. You need to have good people doing it, and it's good that they could find 3 people that weren't really that weren't known, of course, at the time that much, and they could pull off these types of these roles. So
that was Tracy Arnold, by the way.
Tracy Arnold, okay.
Yeah.
So that's excellent movie. I guess I'll give it 4 3/4. Almost perfect for me.
Fair enough. I tell you what, I can't quite go that high, but I really do, appreciate this movie and enjoy it for what it is. It's not one. I mean, I know this is definitely the second time, maybe the third time I've watched it, so it's not one I'm going to like put on rotation or anything like that.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it enough when I've seen it. Michael Rooker's great in it. Everything you just said, I agree. I'm going to say 4. I think it's a solid 4 for me. Can't quite go 5 territory or that high, but I mean, for what it is, it's very well done. Very gritty, very dark, just visceral, but not like overly gory. So, but it still gets you. You still feel nasty, even though it's not like an especially bloody, gory type of movie. There's enough there, but you still feel like, ooh, I need to take a shower, after this damn thing. and you get that. I always compare, slight spoiler for Black Christmas, but I always get that feeling when it's kind of a movie ends when it's somewhat unresolved. I get that Black Christmas feeling about it where it's like, God damn.
Where he's just going to go on to the next town and do some shit.
Yeah, that's the way it ends. Is like he just gets in the car and goes. So you're like, well, shit, like he didn't get busted. He just continues to do horrible things somewhere else, So it's that unresolved thing. So that always kind of sticks with you too, or at least for me, with these type of movies. So we got some audio now from Donnie. He gave his thoughts and his starting, so I'll toss to that.
Yeah, Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer. Oh man, very dark. and just brutal. Although it is well worth a watch, and even if you only watch it once, it's worth, it's certainly worth that. My star rating, I'm going to give it 3 stars. It's really just giving it the respect that of Michael Rooker's portrayal of Henry. And even if this isn't a rewatch over and over. This is actually the second time that I've seen it, but it's really just, I'm giving it 3 stars out of respect for Michael Rooker.
All right, so you add in his 3, and that gives us a grand total of 4.1 out of 5 stars. So we highly recommend you go check out Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer. I guess it's no surprise that we here at the Spook Show like this movie, so we recommend you go check it out. Hell, this is probably one you need to own, right? Like, go get it on Blu-ray.
Oh, yeah.
Like this is one of those.
And Arrow just brought it out, so.
Oh, there you go.
They got it. We don't have that.
4K. No, we don't have that one yet.
We got the Dark Sky DVD version of it that came out some number of years back now. But
the way that a 16 millimeter film was meant to be seen, 4K Blu-ray.
Yeah.
I always kind of joke about things, especially when it's a damn shot on video.
Yeah.
Shot on VHS camcorder movie that's going to come out, and some no, I don't need all that.
I don't need.
Reason why.
I don't. I was just going to say I don't need the presentation to be 4K, but I like the restoration. You
could restore it in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah,
but
that's what I always appreciate about it.
Yeah,
I always like 4K because of the sound.
I
feel like the sound is way better than Blu-rays.
It absolutely, yeah. Yeah, like I said, that improving upon the presentation of it thing. I don't need to see it like that, but it's nice to see these things restored and see them in a way that you've probably never seen them. So I appreciate that part of it. But
yeah, I have a love-hate relationship when it comes to some of the movies. Again, depending on what it is. If it's something I watched a lot of on VHS back in the day, and it's something like Lucio Fulci's House by the Cemetery. Well, House by the Cemetery is not a really good, example, because that movie released on VHS in America was fucked up because they put the reels out of order. So like reel 4 was before reel 3, or that's not a good example. But let's just say
like Texas Chainsaw or something.
Yeah, Texas Chainsaw or Fulci's Zombie or something like that, where I appreciate the restoration, but then when I'm watching, I'm like, this blood and the things look more fake now.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it can bring out the shit that was kind of hidden.
Yeah, the VHS masked it. Not only the VHS quality format itself, but the fact that you're renting it, and that like 500 other people have seen it before you have, and that takes like kind of it's got its own unique visual aesthetic to it.
And somebody had a shitty VCR and messed this part up, so it's all it's all jumpy, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Now that's different when we're talking about Star Wars. Or whatever, any number of like big budget Hollywood movies.
You want that?
I'm always more appreciative of those remasters than I am of exploitation films. Even though I will still buy those exploitation films, but I think I still have this preference for the way I watched them on VHS, which is probably why I still, of course, collect VHS from those types of movies.
Well, before we check out here, let's go ahead and go through our usual bits. So we'll start with Donnie. He left us a Connections from the Crypt.
Connections from the Crypt.
All right, there are no crew connections, but we do have a cast connection. So we've got Tom Tolles, who played in The Devil's Rejects, as well as House of a Thousand Corpses when we covered those in past Spook Show episodes. You can check those out in our archive.
All right, Tiana, we'll go next to you. So what kind of kill count could you come up with?
15.
And the mess up thing is a lot of those you don't see. Well, I mean, you see the aftermath, right? But like most of those you don't see happen on camera.
Yeah, a few in the beginning is the aftermath and stuff.
Yeah, that's probably about right. So it's ironically, it's the same kill count that you had last week for Aliens, 15. What do you know? Let's talk about the kill reel.
Highlight kill.
There's a couple of good ones here. You know what? The one that's kind of funny and will stick with you, because the other ones are like the stuff with Otis and like it's almost too fucked up to want to dwell.
They stick with you, but for there are other reasons.
Yeah. It's almost like it's almost too fucked up to like want to remember it. So the one that I will think of more fondly is the TV guy. I think I'm gonna go with the highlight kill, the dude getting a TV put on his head. Otis, plug it up.
Yes. Any other one you choose will make you sound like a psychopath.
Yeah. Then there's that. Yeah. All right, so that's a perfect lead into you, Smoke. Speaking of psychopaths, what's your gore score?
Gore score.
Yeah, this is a hard movie to rate for that, really, because if you're rating it just on the gore itself, this would be a fairly low rating, which is not accurate to. If I were to give this a rating strictly based on gore, it might even get like a 6. But I don't think it. I think it deserves a higher rating than only because of. I think I'm gonna start taking into account the disturbing factor of movies even though it's gore score. I think it needs to be higher than a 6 because the only gore you really see is aftermath and the beginning scenes, and really it's the Coke bottle that's the goriest of the beginning scene montage of deaths.
You get plenty here, though.
That, you get snapping, which isn't gory at all, like in the 2 prostitutes in the car, and then
but you also do get Henry literally sawing a dude in pieces.
Yeah, but you only see the head, really. You see him. Well, you see him sawing, and then you see him do this little notion of like jerking left and right, back and forth, and then he pulls Otis' head out of the tub. So yeah, that's gore.
That's pretty nappy.
Even that, they could have, they didn't go down the path that they could have shown him with the hacksaw in the neck, like a Tom Savini.
I love the fake Otis head too.
The fake Otis head was pretty.
Because remember, you see it briefly when she sticks him in the eye.
Yeah, that's right.
His face is like, oh, and then it's in the eye, and then they clearly sawed off the same head and used it in that scene.
Yeah.
Because then he's got that same look on his face when they put it, and he picks it up, looks at it, and then puts it in the bag.
Yeah. Well. So yeah, there is that, and it is a little gory. Although the way in which it's shot is less gory than it could have been, and probably 2 reasons. One, budgetary. They might not have wanted to have all this latex type appliance gore going on, and also for the fact of it not trying to be more serious than an exploitation movie. So I mean, probably didn't want to go too gory and graphic on those scenes. So, but yeah, that scene in the Coke bottle scene, and Otis the initial comb through the eyeball, and the TV guy was more humorous than anything. There was a little bit of blood once he smashed the TV over his head. There's a little bit of blood coming out from around the glass of the TV.
And the Good Samaritan when they shoot that guy on the side of the road, there's a little bit of blood there.
Oh yeah, the blood squibs. Yeah. So all of those definitely gives it a 6, maybe pushing into a 7. But I'm gonna go on at least I'll go with an 8. Because really the gore, like I said, is probably more in the 6 or 7 territory, but because of the fucked upness of it all.
Yeah.
But the camcorder scene, that scene, I don't remember if there was any gore in that. Really much. I mean, but it's all implied and it's all fucked up. The way and then the fact that they're all on the couch rewinding the scenes. Rewinding.
That makes it even worse. Like they're just watching it like we're watching an episode of Alf or something.
Yes.
God.
Yeah, so just the disturbing quality factor of it, it probably made me even get tired than that. Like if we were rating, if I had a fucked up rating, like this, how fucked up and disturbing is this movie? This would be a 10.
Yeah.
And there'd be others that would be the 10x. Like I was talking
there comes your Grindhouse Gutter rating. That's like that. That's a 10, right?
Yeah. And this movie, like I said, it would have played the Grindhouse circuit, would have done well there, even though it's not really in that territory. It's less exploitation and more serious, even though it's got some exploitative elements to it and some humorous elements to it. And it would have done well there regardless. But yeah, that would play more into some of the Grindhouse score, ratings as far as the disturbing factors. But since it's just called the gore score, I'm going to go with an 8, even if it's not technically gory enough to get that 8. I think with all the disturbing, it's kind of like the MPAA, right? Where they said there's nothing you can do to this movie. It's the overall tone of the movie. You can't cut anything from it. The overall tone is such that it can only get an X. So the overall tone of this movie is such that I can't give it any lower than an 8.
Like I said, you still need a bath afterwards, but not because you're covered in blood. It's just because you're covered in nasty. Just ugh. You're covered in the heebie-jeebies.
Yep. And since I don't have that type of rating, I will just have to hedge out the gore score more, even though there's not a ton of gore in it.
Now we have to add the new heebie-jeebie rating.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, that's enough. I think we've talked about it ad nauseum at this point. Go watch it. Go check it out. Go buy it. It's an awesome flick. It may not be for everybody, that's for sure. Just keep that in mind. You know, like if you don't like the kind of nihilistic darkness of movies sometimes, maybe you want to steer clear of it. But I still think it's worth at least a one-time watch if you like, you know, this kind of thing. You know, that's the best way I can say it. So we'll leave it there. Next week, Smoke, it's your pick. It's the next to last pick, actually, of the 40 years of 1986, because we've got a cannon fodder to wrap things up the week after next, and we'll tell you what that's going to be next week. But what's your choice, Smoke?
Oh, my choice is going to be Fred Decker's Night of the... I was going to say 1986, but that's redundant. Fred Decker's Night of the Creeps. And since we've already done the Monster Squad on here, this is a nice... those two movies also, by the way. If you haven't seen either of those two movies, that'd make a good double feature.
It's just like the R-rated cousin.
Yeah, this is the... True, yeah. Yeah, that is very true. That's a good way to put it. Because really, Monster Squad pushed the envelope of what the rating it got. And I think... Was it PG or PG-13? I can't remember if PG-13 was... Yeah, PG-13 was around.
It's got to be PG-13.
Got to be, yeah.
Wolfman's got Nards, give me the amulet, you bitch. All that, it's got to... There's enough there, right?
Yeah, somehow he slid by with the PG-13. Thankfully, there was PG-13 ratings, because they probably would have gave that movie an R. MPAA would have, because, you know, Fred Decker's not a name that's big as you know, Steven Spielberg or something. So they aren't going to let that slide, probably. So it's a good thing there was PG-13 when that movie came out. Otherwise, we might have a condensed version of Monster Squad that had even less of those things in it. But at any rate, we're doing Night of the Creeps on the next stuff.
So next week, get ready to pledge a frat or pledge a sorority, because we're going back to school with Night of the Creeps.
Yes, back to the 50s and the 80s.
Yes, there you go. So that's it. So go watch that in advance. Go check out all the stuff over on our YouTube by going to aaspookshow.com. Go to patreon.com/aaspookshow. Get the episodes early and all that jazz we talked about at the beginning of the show. And we appreciate you. And we will talk to you next week for the continuation of 40 years of 1986.
Please replace the speaker on its rack when you're ready to leave. Failure to do so will damage both the speaker and your car. We'll be grateful, and so will the patrons who follow you.